There are pains that no one sees. They lie there quiet as the dark beneath flawless makeup behind the smiles you offer to the world. But when night falls and you lie alone, no more buzzing phones, no unexpected calls. The only thing that remains is a wordless question. Why me? You're not weak, you're just drained from placing your worth in someone else's hands. Carl Jung once said, "You are what you do not, what you say you'll do." So when you keep staying clinging to a relationship that has gone cold, what are you really saying to your soul? Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams? Who looks inside awakes? Carl Jung. A woman who has just lost a love now stands before the gate to her own heart, a journey no one else can take for her. Maybe you've been there waking up in the middle of the night reaching for your phone only to realize there are no messages, no one's calling. You're searching for something out there to fill the emptiness. But the truth is, no message can make up for the absence of you in your own inner world. When they left, what truly shattered wasn't just the relationship, it was the reflection in the mirror, the person who gave everything and kept nothing for herself. Silence is not surrender, it is a homecoming. When a woman chooses silence, it's not because she's numb. On the contrary, it's the moment she begins speaking to her pain. Silence is a ritual. The first sacred act of severing the psychic leaks those moments when energy bled out through every desperate message, every call, every plea. Jung called this the withdrawal of projection, reclaiming the psychic energy wrongly placed on the wrong person. Every time you don't respond, every time you stop yourself from sending just one more message, you're cutting a string that bound you to an illusion. Imagine you are a vessel of water. Your feelings, your attention, your love are sacred. But you poured yourself out to someone who's no longer there. Silence is not a tactic to make him return. It's a sacred reconstruction. It's when you begin to pour water back into your own vessel. The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. Carl Jung. You've probably heard the phrase, when you pull away, he starts coming closer. But this isn't a game. It's not some tactic where you pretend to be busy to make someone miss you. This is a profound psychological phenomenon rooted in how the unconscious works, especially in men. And you, as you move through healing, may unknowingly activate it, but only if you truly no longer need him. From predictable to mysterious, reclaiming the feminine energy, we're drawn to the unknown. Jung called this projection when we cast our own deep hopes or fears onto others. When you were always there, always replying, always checking in, you became predictable. You lost your symbolic weight. But when you pull back, not out of anger, but because you're genuinely healing, you become a mystery again. His mind starts to stir. He wonders, what are you thinking? Are you sad? Do you miss him? Or is there someone new? That uncertainty triggers a primal magnetism because the brain despises incomplete stories. It craves resolution. The truth, he doesn't miss you. He misses feeling important. And here's the part you need to hear. Often it's not you that he misses. It's the feeling of emotional validation you provided. When you vanish, he loses the mirror that once reflected his ego. That's why many men return not when you're still reaching, but when you've stopped responding. But if you return too soon, you don't just lose your power, you lose your center. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do, is Psyche Jung. You were once the girl who always texted first, always checked in, always available when his name lit up your screen. But then something strange happened. The more you showed up, the less he did. The more you loved, the more you were dismissed. You thought you loved too much, but really you just became too emotionally accessible. Why do things lose value when given too much? In psychology, there's an ancient truth that still holds down to our very cells: scarcity creates value. What's too easily obtained is rarely treasured. What's always present gets treated as background noise. Jung called this the shadow side of giving. When feminine energy lacks boundaries, it mutates into submission rather than magnetism. And what's the result? You get ignored. Not because you weren't enough, but because you became the background instead of the symbol of the unattainable. Emotional scarcity, a silent language. When you disappear not to play games but to genuinely put yourself first, you begin to emit a new kind of energy. It's not desperate. It doesn't beg for response. It doesn't scream to be seen. This is emotional scarcity, a rare energy marked by selective presence, measured words, and mindful care. And that's what makes you magnetic, not through words, but through absence. The male psyche and the urge to fill the void. Neuroscience tells us this: when a man loses an emotional habit like a morning text or check-ins, or that steady presence, his brain goes into withdrawal. It starts searching for what's missing, not because of love, but because a source of ego regulation is gone. That absence becomes louder than any words you could say. Only the wounded physician heals. Carl Jung. There comes a moment after the breakup when you no longer cry, but you're not at peace either. It's the in-between. The old self has crumbled, but the new one hasn't emerged. The person you loved is gone, but the new you hasn't fully been born yet. And that is the beginning of rebirth. Rebirth doesn't begin with light, it begins with darkness. In the Red Book, Jung described a time when he was severed from the outside world, a period of inner chaos he called the dark night of the soul. He didn't run from it. He entered it like a pilgrim. And so must you. After a heartbreak, don't rush to find the light. Don't try to be okay. Allow yourself to break consciously, because nothing is reborn until something first dies. The three stages of emotional rebirth: emotional alchemy. Negredo, the stage of decay. This is when you face the raw truth: I lost myself for someone else. No more denial. No more pretending. The tears aren't for him, they're for you, because you abandoned yourself. Albedo, the stage of cleansing. You start to let go old habits, social media, what if stories, the belief that you're not enough. You cleanse the dust of the past from your soul. Rubedo, the stage of integration. One morning you wake up and you don't check your phone, not because you're numb, but because you no longer need validation. You've begun to belong to yourself again. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Carl Jung. After everything, the strategic silence, the sacred withdrawal, the rebirth from your own ruins. Something strange begins to happen. They come back. Maybe it's a message, a subtle hey, an unexpected story view, a random excuse to restart the conversation. But this time, you are not who you used to be. The silent power. The one who disappeared is still you, but the one who returns is someone new. When you withdrew, you didn't make noise. You didn't give ultimatums. You didn't beg for love. And that's exactly why he lost control. In psychology, when someone loses control over an emotional pattern, they become obsessed. He doesn't understand. Where did you go? Why aren't you reacting? Do you still love him? Is there someone else now? But the deeper truth is this: you no longer need him to survive. Psychological reversal. When you stop begging for love, you start choosing it. This is the moment Jung called the restructuring of the self. You're no longer someone else's reflection. You're not the woman who used to love him. You are a sovereign being, centered, clear, complete. Detachment is no longer a tactic. It becomes a ritual through which you reclaim emotional sovereignty. And when he comes back, you're not constantly checking your phone. You're not writing drafts and deleting them. Because the question is no longer, will he come back? It is, do I still want him? You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to pretend to be strong. You don't have to hide your sadness as if it doesn't exist. You only need to come home to yourself, back to the place where you lost your inner voice, back to the moment you forgot your worth in the eyes of someone else. And when you return there, whether through tears, silence, or every lonely step, you will see you were never weak. You were simply being reborn. Jung once said, the ego thinks it's dying, but the soul is coming back to life. And maybe this entire breakup was never about losing someone. Maybe it was about finding yourself again, more whole, more luminous, more powerful than ever. A question for you. In this very moment, what do you feel awakening inside you? Is it a quiet knowing that you don't need anyone's approval to be lovable? Or is it an old dream once buried now, knocking again at the door of your heart? Share it in the comments below, because your words today might be exactly what someone else out there needs to hear. If you saw yourself in this video, hit the subscribe button so you won't miss the next journeys of healing, awakening, and coming home to yourself. Because here we don't talk about how to make someone love us. We talk about how to become someone we ourselves can't help but love.